The race to weaponize space is ramping up, with China's new program to build a base on the dark side of the moon. And Russia opposing a UN resolution preventing nuclear weapons in space, the United States appears to be preparing for a world war in space. The Pentagon now proposing to move National Guard units to the Space Force program, and it's garnering major opposition from lawmakers on both sides. The Air Force explaining to NewsNation's senior national correspondent why it's important to arm the sixth branch of the military.
They did say in terms of like war in space, they do believe that the next world war will be in outer space and fought in space. They were very clear about that, which is why, you know, it's now the sixth branch of the military in the U.S., why they say it's so important, Space Force.
Why it's so important, Space Force. That's in focus on NewsNation's podcast, Reality Check, with Ross Coulthart. The latest episode is live now. To catch it, just take out your phone and scan the QR code on your screen right there, or visit NewsNation's website or YouTube page. Joining me now is NewsNation's special correspondent, Ross Coulthart. Ross, thank you so much. I want to pick up where Brian kind of left off, because I think a lot of people sit back and they think fighting in space, but all of this is quite possibly a reality that could happen. What do you make of the Biden administration's push to bolster Space Force numbers with National Guardsmen? Does that indicate to you that the Biden administration feels the U.S. is lagging behind China and Russia in this new modern day of space racing?
Well, good morning, Nick. Yes, well, heaven forbid that we ever do have to fight a war in space, but I think it's important for our national security to be ready for it. And that's what Space Force is all about. And I can understand why there is a push to consolidate the forces that we do have to be ready. I mean, Space Force has only been around for, I think, since the end of 2019, when it became the sixth and newest service in the US military. And what we often, I think, don't understand, and we've talked about this previously on your show, is the fact that there's so much technology, so much that we're reliant on through satellite technology that runs our economies, runs our banking, runs our communications and our internet. And overnight, instantaneously in a conflict, those technological resources could be cut off in an instant. And so Space Force is absolutely vital. It's very, very important to protect those resources and make sure that we actually have the capability in the event of conflict to be able to be organized to be able to defend ourselves.
Yeah, and Ross, I think the most agreed that the next conflict, should it occur, will not be a ground game, that it will be one that is technological and one in space. In this latest episode of Reality Check, you mentioned the Outer Space Treaty and what could happen if it's breached. I want to take a listen to that soundbite and talk on the other side.
Space Force and Space Command, it's quite obvious there is a growing concern that the Russians and the Chinese are potentially moving towards breaching the Outer Space Treaty, which was signed, I think, back in 1967. So very, very good reasons for why the Space Force has been created. And as I've said, you know, there are people I talk to here in Australia, people in my government, who are very proud of the role that Australia plays in helping the detection of space objects. And there are arrays that have been erected right across Western and Southern Australia to actually assist in this work. And I think there's a huge amount of pride here in Australia that as part of the Five Eyes Alliance, we're feeding information, intelligence from space into Space Force and other commands, including Space Command.
And Ross, I know that Australia is part of that alliance, but part of the Outer Space Treaty limits the use of the moon and other celestial bodies to peaceful purposes. Are you concerned about China's moon base and its intentions once it's actually built?
I'm less concerned about China's moon base than I am about Russia's plans for anti-satellite weapons. Yes, we should always be concerned about what our potential adversaries might be up to, but the real evidence of concern in recent years has been growing bellicose statements and actions by Russia in particular, involving the deployment of what look like potential anti-satellite weapons. And Nick, there's a lot of evidence coming from the White House, from the National Security Advisor, of growing concerns that the Russians are developing what potentially might be an anti-satellite nuclear weapon in space, which would be a flagrant breach of that outer space treaty. And it would be an absolute catastrophe for the entire planet if a nuclear weapon with the X-rays that are emitted by those weapons was allowed to destroy pretty much all of the satellite infrastructure that we've already built on this planet. It would overnight destroy technology, communications, banking, finance, internet. It would be an absolute catastrophe. And I think it's in everybody's interests to ensure that we don't get to the point where there is a conflict where these kind of weapons are being deployed. And so I think there's a lot of questions about what China is up to on the other side of the moon. Why is it so interested on the dark side of the moon? But a lot of the focus, frankly, coming from the White House, the national security advisors, has been on what Russia's up to with its plans to deploy anti-satellite weapons.
Anti-satellite weapons. Ross Coulthart with the sobering warning this morning. Ross, thank you so much. You can watch Reality Check with Ross Coulthart exclusively online. Just scan the QR code on your screen or visit NewsNation's website or YouTube page.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Go to joinnn.com to find News Nation on your television provider. Also, don't forget to click that red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.